welcome everybody to sharing solutions to what keeps CEOs and business owners up at night. This session, we're going to talk about an issue that generates a ton of conversation with my Vistage members, and that is, how do we find the right talent for our business? And to continue that conversation, we brought back Chris Cosmos, who is an expert at outsourcing. And we're going to end this with an offer for all of you. And this is something that Chris and I have worked on with our Vistage members. Chris is also an aspiring Vistage speaker on this subject. So Chris, welcome.
Thanks, Dave. It's good to be here.
Yeah. So I saw a statistic that kind of blew everybody's mind. And we used in Vistage ITR, which is a forecasting and geopolitical company. And they said there's only 0.66 workers for every job opening. So, outsourcing, people can say, depending on which side of the street you're on here, good, bad, and different. But the point is, not only can you save a ton of money, but you just can't find workers, Chris. So what can outsourcing do?
A super question to start off with, and it's a big factor in folks deciding to go to outsource. The way to consider outsourcing, even though it's got some negative connotations over the years, as time goes by, it's becoming much, much, much more mainstream. And one of the primary reasons, aside from pricing, is the global talent pool. So if you look at the globe, the 8 billion people, that's your database of folks that can do the work. And frankly, there are people around the world that can do the work. So if it's 2/3 here in America, you're going to be able to find many more people in different parts of the country or different parts of the world, whether it's in India or Asia or Latin America, Eastern Europe, that can definitely do the work. Now, there's pros and cons. You have to work with time zones and language, culture. The cost savings is enormous, frankly. And again, a lot of people go to outsourcing primarily because of the issue you just brought up. The talent is so difficult to deal with.
Yeah, when you talk about cost savings, give us a statistic for like a mid-market office worker.
Mid-market office worker, frankly, again, depending on where that person is, fully loaded with benefits, if they're in New York compared to if they're in Kansas, obviously it's going to be different. But if you take a mid-level administrative assistant at a base salary of $60,000 US, with their benefits, you're looking $75,000 all in probably. That same talent, that same job resume, from a talent perspective, depending where you go in the world, you're looking probably 30 to 60% cheaper with a bill rate. Now, there's two rates when you do outsource. You could do it yourself, and then all you deal with is the pay rate, and a lot of people do that. So the pay rate obviously is going to be lower. If you use a third party, a vendor, to help you find and manage and payroll that person, you're going to have a bill rate. There's a margin on top. But even with a third party involved, you're still looking at a cost savings, like I said, of 30 to 60%.
So give me some of the more popular outsourced positions that you run across in your company.
We have two sectors, if you will. The IT outsourcing, which like staff augmentation, if the HR folks and the C-level folks at company. Staff aug is you're augmenting your staff, your current staff. And that's done in the United States on the IT side, where you have a project and you need a .NET developer for 9 months to do a project. They come in from the outside, they do the work. That's staff augmentation. If you think of BPO, business process outsourcing, that's much more about temps, frankly. Think of Kelly Girls, or think of any temp organization, temporary employee. In the old days, if you will, your office assistant is pregnant. She goes out and she's going to be out for 3 months. You'll have a temp come in and work for 3 months through a Adecco or Kelly or Manpower. And there's literally thousands of temp organizations. Yeah. So now even those positions, the BPO positions, accounting, office assistants, obviously call centers, help desk, marketing, all those positions can around the world that work typically in your time zone and do the work. So that's where the cost savings comes in. But anything that can be done on a computer has a chance to be outsourced if you want to go down that road.
Yeah, and so I saw another interesting statistic that there are 11,000 outsourcing firms. How does this?
That number fluctuates. It's a great question. It's very common. It's very important when you say outsourcing. The traditional term of outsourcing is getting work done offshore or nearshore. Offshore is over an ocean from the United States. So if you go to Asia, if you go to Europe, that's offshoring. Nearshoring is where you don't go over an ocean, primarily down to Central and Latin America. That's nearshoring. But 20 years ago, 30, 40, 50 years ago, outsourcing was still done. When you called manpower and you needed someone to come in and do the outsource, you needed someone to come, that essentially was outsourcing. So the number 11,000, frankly, it's probably more than that. For every manpower that we've heard of, or Kelly or Adecco or Robert Half, there are thousands of small mom and pop staffing companies that do BPO typically onshore. They'll go find an administrative assistant to come in and work for manpower, but they'll come in and do the work at your location for 3 months, let's say, to fill that void.
Gotcha. How about ongoing kind of roles? How about ongoing roles like accounting, back office, payables, receivables? You see a lot of that. Is that where some
Absolutely.
of the...
And what's happening, great question, Dave. What's happening now, and I've been at this I started in 97, so 20 some odd years. What's happening now, it's these temps, if you will, offshore and nearshore are long-term. They're essentially part of your team. Now, obviously, the beauty is they show up as an expense line on your financials. They're not part of your headcount, if you will, and they're an expense. But a lot of times you treat them like your employees. I mean, it gets a little gray, but if you're using a third party, you're out of that precarious legal situation, if you will. You use a third party. They're working through the third party. You will pay a premium, but again, at the end of the day, it's still substantially cost effective to outsource that talent. So, with that said, our company, as an example, we just sent gift packages. 5 of our people just hit their 3-year anniversary, so they're working through us through one of our customers on the IT side. And our customer treats them very well. They bring them to the United States for the annual. A couple of our customers bring them to the United States for their annual company meeting and whatnot, and reward them that way, and do everything they can to make the outsourced people feel as part of the team.
Wow. So we promised our viewers that we provide an offer, and this outsourcing things, for those that are not involved in it, could be a little bit daunting, meaning there's a lot of pieces of the puzzle. Where do I actually begin thinking about outsourcing? What positions? How does it work? And so, Chris, you have an offer for any of the viewers to kind of help them, get going. How do they get a no obligation kind of conversation going?
Great. And I'm more than happy to talk to any about this. And you said the magic word, no obligation. I have a business. Obviously, I would love to earn people's business, but I like the idea of helping folks. The fact of the matter is, CEOs and decision makers at companies have multiple choices when it comes to hiring folks, like we talked about. I'd be more than happy to. The offer is that anybody wants to get on a call with me, again, no obligation. I'll talk to you for as long as you want about your challenges that you're having and how to remedy them. And whether you do it alone, you do it through a vendor, that's all up to you. You don't do it at all. A lot of people might not want to do it after they hear, but I'd be more than happy to chat with anybody that has questions regarding this whole formula.
Gotcha. So we'll put a little placard up with your contact information, Chris, at the end of this.
Okay.
And to all of you, I mean, these are the kind of resources that the Vistage model brings to its members. So, by the way, this is good for any Vistage members that happen to be watching today, my members or any other members, and or of course any other business person. That's the whole purpose of this conversation today. So, I think we only have a limited amount of time, Chris. We're going to wrap this up. And just if you would just give everybody your email address, so then we'll put it up at the end of this.
Sure. Without it's chris.cosmos, COSMOS at evolvesquads.com. It's all one word, evolvesquads.com. And that's me. And I'll get back to you and we can set up a time to chat. I'd have no problem discussing it.
Well, how good is that? Chris, I understand you yourself today are overseas.
I'm not working. I'm on a little bit of a holiday with my wife. My kids are all at home. They're older, so we got off alone today. We're in Brazil, and we got here a couple days ago, and so far so good.
Hey, it's just a reflection of what the conversation we have. The world is getting smaller and smaller, and outsourcing is just one part of it.
Without a doubt.
All right. Hey, thanks. Good to see you.
All right, Dave. Thank you. Good to see you.